Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the Stepson of Krypton,
And I am Mantis.
and today we are doing a what will hopefully be brief discussion, kind of over the entire DCU and kind of where it seems like it's heading, but also kind of where we'd like to see it head. We want to get you guys' opinions on that too. So, Mantis, I know you did a lot of work on this to kind of go through a lot of this here. Uh, are
A
you
lot
ready
of
to
work.
get into that discussion?
Yep.
All right, then let's go. Okay, guys. So when we talk about the DCU, where it's heading, kind of where it could be heading, where it should be heading, we're talking about, obviously, we know we've started out with Creature Commandos, did very, very well with critic audience scores. Like, that plays a factor into how people are viewing the material. So that one did very well in audience scores, critic scores. Peacemaker season 2 did well. I know now there's kind of been some backlash over especially the last few episodes, about it being a little too perverted, maybe a little too much for some people. But then we had Superman, and Superman, whether you want to admit it or not, has done well. And now we know we've obviously got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow coming out next year. We've got Lanterns, and then we've got Superman, Man of Tomorrow coming out in 2027. So, Mantis, I believe, and you had just referenced, they've done a test screening for Supergirl. You kind of want to
Mhm.
go through that?
Yeah. We can do that because I don't. If you guys haven't checked out our teaser trailer reaction, go check that out on the channel. That was the first time we'd seen anything about it, any rumors or anything. But they did also do a test screening for the movie that was roughly 2 hours and 5 minutes, is kind of what they said. And the feedback they got from the audience that was there wasn't great, um, but they said it wasn't a bad movie. Now, you can take that in a couple different ways. I choose to look at it on the optimist side, saying that while the movie wasn't bad, there are things that need addressed and fixed, and hopefully those things are capable of being addressed and fixed without major reshoots or major story plot changes. Because as we know, there's really two parts to that. One, even if this movie is not based off of already a book or anything like that, it's still, there's a script written, there's a cohesive uh like storyline throughout the movie. And when you start chopping things out that was intended to be there, even though audiences didn't like certain things, it's going to leave plot holes. It's going to be, we saw this with Batman v Superman is a prime example of this. Regardless of why it was taken out, it could be length, it could be the audience didn't like it, it doesn't matter. It can jack up the flow of the movie and make things feel off. The second part to this is, if it is based off of a movie or a book or some other song, whatever the medium is that they're making a movie off of, in this case it is the comic book Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. um there is an already set story for this, and if you start changing things and taking things out, it starts to eat into that part of it. You have people that are diehard Supergirl fans. They exist, I'm sure they do. And when you start messing with the storyline and what's coming from the book, it's going to piss people off. Now, again, we're talking like this book came out in 2023 or 2022, so it's not canon that long. Okay, so there's probably some liberties there, as we were discussing with Lobo. And another thing about that screening was Lobo only had 2 fights, and I'm assuming that was probably in a negative connotation where they wanted more Jason Momoa in fights. Okay, it's not to say he's not in the movie a lot or doesn't have dialogue or is not in there that much. It's just that he only fights 2 times, or he's in 2 fights. And
That's
the
all
the
you
last
need.
part of yeah, the last part of it was that the villain is underwhelming. And we were just talking about this before we started recording this video. Was you know it, Lobo is a character that people are familiar with. Most comic book people are familiar with Lobo. Okay, they know him, they like him, they like his character. They Women and men like Jason Momoa as an actor. Most women like him because they want to see him with his shirt off. Which, again, even in the trailer, the teaser trailer, he's yeah, he's showing some chest there. So they'll get their fix, I'm sure, of a shirtless Jason Momoa in this movie. So that will bring in the female crowd at least a little bit. Um, but when you stack him up against a villain that's people don't really know, not because it's an obscure character, but because literally the character was created 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and the character in the book isn't very um I don't know I don't even know how to say it. He's not very powerful. He's not very
Charismatic.
yeah. I mean, you do hate him. Like, I was just we were discussing yesterday. I think I had purchased the book to read it just because I'd not read Supergirl one tomorrow, just kind of prep for the movie coming out. And you know, it's I can see from the trailer where they get a lot of the stuff from. It looks like it does come straight from the book, aside from the Lobo thing. That's he's not in it, obviously. But I don't know. I could see this going two different ways, and hopefully it doesn't go the second way of it being garbage and a blow up. But we were discussing when we watched the trailer in that video, when we watched the teaser trailer. I could see this movie doing better than Superman. I really could, just because of Lobo and Supergirl and a couple of other things in the from what we saw. So it could be great. It could even stem a one off movie or a solo movie for Lobo, which we were talking again before we started recording this. I'd love to see that. That'd be great.
Well, so I think there's a couple of things you have to kind of take into account when we say about like where the DCU's heading. Okay, so let's take this as the prime example because this is going to be the next big installment, right? Is if you base it off of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic, right? And you go straight with that for everybody who hasn't read it, they're not going to know, and it seems very like random of like, why are you going down this route? Well, you're basing it off of this comic. Well, if you haven't read it, it's not going to make as much sense to you. And then there are the people that also we got teased that Lobo's going to be in it, right? So Jason Momoa is playing Lobo. That if he's not the main bad guy in it, that it's going to be a letdown because Lobo's such a great villain. Even Stan Lee said he's his favorite villain, DC villain. But if he's not in it as the main villain, yeah, the other main villain might be a letdown for a lot of people. However, I think what we also have to remember is Superman, 2025, their Superman did the same thing. They did a test screening about 6 months because we're 6 months, so just over 6 months away from this movie
Mhm.
releasing, right? So why James Gunn has taken a year in between once they wrap principal photography to do all of the special effects and all that good stuff and everything, but also do the screenings. And he made they did multiple sets of screenings and he made adjustments each time, right? And it gave us what I think is a good movie. Now you can definitely tell where they're like, yeah, they probably cut there because this kind of seemed like we jumped, right?
Mm.
But it flowed well enough. I feel like he's going to do the same thing for Supergirl, right? Test it. He probably shot more than he needed and a lot of extra stuff to know that, oh, if I got to switch some things around, if I got to take this out. Because, yes, we want the people who are diehard Superman fans and we want people who love the comics and read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. But realistically, you got to target those bigger audiences, that wider audience to make the money that's going to keep the studios wanting to keep this thing going. So you got to like appeal to that wider audience. Well, you've got 6.5 months to kind of correct some things that the audience was, or the test screening was feeling upset about. So I think it may not be looking like it's heading in the right direction. I think it's gonna, if it's not, it's gonna get a course correction too. Mantis had said this again. We talk a lot before we start recording, guys. We just have these discussions. But Mantis said, I can't remember a last time audience test screenings have been super successful where they just, oh my God, it's so great. Right? It seems
Yeah.
like lately superhero movies, they're all hating them.
Yeah. Like when have you seen that? Like when have you seen? Oh, there was a test screening for this, and it was rousing applause for like I just don't. Don't get me. It's not like I researched the internet for every single movie coming out's test screening. I mean, obviously, I'm not doing that.
I'm sure a
We
couple
we
people are
primarily.
going to take it like that, but
I'm sure. I just at least in our short window of covering a lot of the DC and Marvel stuff, it's always been negative. It's and maybe just Hollywood's, and I don't disagree that Hollywood's gone downhill in the past 5 years. I agree with you there, but I just can't remember. It's just like, oh, this is it was shown to audiences and they loved it, and they're not going to have to make any change. I just don't remember that happening. Seems like everything, just everyone's a critic about everything. I think another big problem, at least for this, and I know we'll move on to other things in the DCU, but another final thing for Supergirl is you also have to look, and Superman kind of ran into this, and it wasn't really a problem for Superman, but Supergirl is going to run up into one of the worst. Like they may end up pushing back the release date for this in theaters, and only because if they do stay in that same timeline, that same weekend of the 26th or whatever, Toy Story 5 is going to be released right around that same time. I I don't know if the audiences are the same, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Toy Story 5 as a release date. Just my opinion.
Well, and well, obviously with Crypto in the Superman movie, he was trying to appeal to kids, right? And and that's kind of the thing. I think another thing that gets lost is, yes, us diehard older fans, we want to see these good movies, but the superhero movies and stuff are also supposed to bring out the kids, right? It's
Mhm.
to inspire the next generation of youth to get into love superhero movies and read the comics and things like that, which is why he leaned kind of heavily into having Crypto and making it more kid friendly, where Superman's not, snapping necks, and he's like, what the hey dude, and all this. So yeah, I wouldn't want to go up against a kids movie when, even if the parents want to go see Superman, the kids are going to want to go see Toy Story 5. Even though
Yeah,
by
that
this
movie.
time it's getting on to like the Saws and freaking Sharknadoes. Like, how many Toy Story movies are we going to do here, right? Like, fucking the
Yeah.
kid's damn toy is now as an iPad. Like, what kind of movie are you going to do about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think every Toy Story is done really well in theaters, and this one's is going to be the same. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that release at all if I was them.
But where I would want to be is in this 2026 getting Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I think it's going to at least do okay to well. I mean, the trailer, like I said, it had good vibes. You could say it's Guardians of the Galaxy. You could say, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. I mean, things can have the same feel to them. But then we got Lanterns coming up. And I think Lanterns is going to be huge because the Green Lantern Corps, and this expands us out into the whole universe, since they cover
Mhm.
is, and having the older Hal Jordan, we're going to see some serious plot lines, like maybe Blackest Night, Sinestro Corps. We're going to see these things. I am excited to see these come into the live action. And being that it's a TV series, we have time to explore that. And we don't have a 2-hour movie to introduce some of the most important characters in Green Lantern, in all
Yeah.
of their history, everything in a 2-hour movie, right? So I'm excited for that. I think that'll be great. We're seeing some of the creatures, commandos. We're seeing some of the characters from like the Doom patrols and things. We've got the comics going on that are leaning heavily into it. I'm excited for where we're heading with the DCU right now.
I say James Gunn has mentioned he doesn't see a near future part for
Dark
Dark
side,
Side.
yeah.
Yeah, so because we were talking, it's like, well, what's the end look like for this? Like, what is his plan uh, for a better term, the end game, right? Like Marvel's end game, right? Like, what is because there's phases. Like they've already discussed that we're in Gods and Monsters right
Yeah.
now. And so like what's the end of this phase? What does that look like? And then where does that go after that? The question even being, is that even going to be a thing? Because a couple of things have happened in the past couple weeks. Some of it we've discussed, but we made mention that Netflix had put a bid in and was trying to purchase WB and Discovery, or Discovery Warner B WB, but it's we
Well,
discussed
technically
that.
not Discovery. They were going to separate.
Sorry, yeah, separating, yeah. I guess you could call it HBO and Warner Brothers. Um, that may or may not go through. And then, Paramount put in a massive cash bid,
So last
which
I just saw today, that was they uh, Warner Brothers has declined that. So supposedly
Yes.
that's been it was like $30 actually cash. Because if you remember
Yeah.
the uh, Netflix bid was like $24 and something cash, and then it was like $4 or 23, whatever the numbers were. I don't have
Something, yeah.
them right in front of me, but and then so much in Netflix stock, like $4 and something per share you own, and all that. Where this
Yeah.
was a straight cash bid, and they said no, the Netflix bid seems better.
That man, I don't know. We were discussing kind of off camera too. I don't know, man. Like I just don't have faith in Netflix, and I have a feeling if this goes through, this is all going to change. And it may have changed. Let's say if Paramount bought it, it may have they may have canned everything too.
Well,
So you know,
and that's part of why we wanted to do this video is because it's like, where's it heading? Where should it be heading? Right? Because there's obviously a goal where we'd all love to see it head towards, and that is let's get us back to a dark side, some kind of like universal world, galaxy and universe ending event, dark side going after the anti-life equation, something like that. That's where we'd all like to get to. Now, can we see a Doomsday? Can we see a Lobo? Can we see a Brainiac come through there in the interim of all the different characters and the Sinestro Court Wars? Maybe we go into Blackest Night. I don't know. Would we see all that? Yes, that would be great. But we'd love to eventually get to where it's like a dark side and Superman are battling for, basically the sake of the universe or the multiverse, right? That's where we all think, or at least, I think, Mantis should let us know down in the comments where you think it should be going, but that's kind of where we'd want to see it go. But whomever purchases WB, it can go in completely different directions. Maybe they
that's
don't
what I
have
fear.
the same, or they want to take it in the same direction, but they don't have the vision for it, and then it goes bad, right? Like instead of omega beams, they're like rainbow beams. Like this is it
Yeah.
can go weird, right?
I just don't want it to turn into a bigger scale version of what happened to Justice League. You know, Zack Snyder had a vision for that film and where he was going with it. Tragedy struck with his family, and when he bailed, another director came in, which at the time, like I don't hate Joss Whedon. Like he did Firefly.
Firefly,
He did,
Avengers. I mean,
yeah.
he's done
I
great
mean,
things, but
it
he
just
didn't
didn't
have the
fit.
same vision.
Yeah,
And it
yeah. I
shows
just
if you
don't.
watch the Justice League versus I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're
versus the
good.
Snyder
Go.
cut. It,
Yeah, absolutely.
so now,
Yeah.
tonal wise, they're completely different, right? Now, Zack Snyder's fit with where we were going with the Snyderverse, with Man of Steel, with Batman v Superman. Joss Whedon seems so different. And then the humor and things that normally would work in an Avengers movie just didn't hit in the Justice League movie.
Yeah. It was like Ezra Miller comedy just amped up. I just think like Ezra Miller's a piece of shit. I liked his Flash. I thought he was funny. I enjoyed how he played the Flash. But Joss Whedon's version of Justice League was like that, just amped up a bit, like a lot. And I don't know. I just that's why I fear with whatever happens with WB. It's gonna happen. That's the thing. They're not just gonna not sell. It's gonna happen. Either the FCC is gonna decline Netflix's bid, like the purchase to go through, and they may say, well, I guess we'll take Paramount's offer, because Paramount is kind of low on the streaming service there, right? Like they don't have the reach and market reach that Netflix or Disney, right? So that seems like they would probably let that purchase go through if it was there. But either way, like I said, WB is going to have to sell, and that means all of this could be for naught. Which either it could stay the same, which I don't see happening. Like they're going to just say, James Gunn, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. We're not going to dick with it. You do whatever you want. Two, Netflix gets it and it goes their way. Paramount gets it, it goes their way. They could do what happened with Justice League and change things and it continues on, or they could, hopefully God, for fuck's sake, hopefully not, and just say, we're going to cut this and start over again. And I would lose my shit.
I don't
That
know
would I
that
would
I don't know that the DC, like as far as cinema, I don't know that it would handle another one. Now, I know there are a lot of people uh Snyderverse fans hoping that that's what they would do, right? Bring back the Snyderverse. And here's the thing, guys. Like, I think a lot of people, a lot of Snyderverse fans, and they watch it, you can tell they're very angry in the comments that they leave, and when we say anything positive about the DCU. Um, I'm not opposed to that coming back. If that's what was going to happen, if they said, "Dude, we're scrapping the DCU, we're bringing back the Snyderverse," I'm not opposed to that happening because I like the Snyderverse, right?
Yeah,
Do I want to see that happen? No, because I want one universe just to keep going, right? I don't want to keep bouncing back and forth. I don't want to keep reboots and stuff. But I want to see a Superman movie, so I'll take it, right? Like I'll be like,
yeah,
oh yeah, this is it's still gonna be cool, man. Would I rather see us? Like I said, we should already be in the dark side era right now. We're not, okay? I
yeah.
can't
You're
fucking do
telling
anything
me
about this.
we stay on this train and we see all this cool shit along the way, but it ends up going off the edge into a ravine and exploding into a fireball. Well, at least we get something, At least it ends. At least something happens. It's just keep rebooting and cutting and rebooting is just it's exhausting, quite frankly.
It is because then it's like, okay, find somebody else, or we're gonna tie in old actors and actresses, and then you're like, well, this doesn't make sense continuity wise. Like, why is this person in this? And there's too much shit going on. Now, I do think it's interesting though that Netflix. So, is it Dawn of the Dead that Zack Snyder and um
Yes.
James Gunn worked on? So
Hmm.
I think it's January 2026 here. It's getting ready to come up. They're re-releasing that back onto Netflix. So I think that's interesting just because, for everybody, first off, they're talking about, they're obviously going to they want to buy WB or it's set to, whether it goes through or not, it's set to. They're like, hey, look, they worked together before, right? Like it doesn't have to be. And I thought it was a great message in the article I was reading. It was like, it doesn't have to be a one or other, right? Like, I don't understand why Superman fans are so divided right now. It's Superman. I
No.
got accused, some dipshit accused me of being like, oh, you must be a new fan because they can't actually watch a video and understand it. When I've been a fan since I was a fucking kid, okay, I love the character Superman. I'm not gonna let it divide. That's what I'm saying. If Henry Cavill came back as Superman, they said, dude, David Cornsweat's fired. We're bringing Henry Cavill. I would still be good with that, right? Like I want to see
Yeah.
Superman. I thought they both do a great job. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah. I don't know. We've discussed that ad nauseum. It feels like I'd be fine with either one. I just want something to continue on further than you know 6 movies. Can we just?
Marvel's getting ready to go into fucking Doomsday and Secret Wars, man. And here we can't get a goddamn movie off the ground on the DC side.
I know it's
Now,
depressing.
if what I've been hearing, we're not going to go into it because that's not what we're discussing here, but is going on with Secret Wars, it could be very bad for them, and then you might be
Yeah.
happy that shit hasn't got off the floor with DC. So
Hmm.
because that's a ballsy move, but I'd like to be
Very,
able to
very.
get there, right? I want it to be like, oh my god, like they're going to bring Dark Side, and there's going to be the huge apocalyptic war, right? And are they going to do that well? That should be my worry. Not fuck. Can we get a second movie off the ground?
Right. Yeah. Like I'd be happy to get to a point where they're discussing, is that the presence? Like we're talking about in Lobo versus Wonder Woman in the comic side of things that we're doing with the KO event. Like, oh fuck, that's a great thing. Like the KO event, like if you want like a where things should like climax, dude.
Giggity.
The fucking like KO event, like that stuff is pretty fucking cool.
Which ties into
I
Dark Side, right? That would be awesome.
yeah,
If you did a
yeah.
KO event in actual live action, except you have to speed it up, right? Yeah, because like go check out the Wonder Woman versus Lobo fight because we're talking about the main man as it is, right? So go check that
Mhm.
out. We've done a video on it. I'll have it flashing on the screen here. Am I going to link it in the description? I wouldn't. I would not bet money on it if I'm a gambling man. 'Cause I'm going to say I would, and it's probably not going to happen. So I just
It's
find
not
it and
Kowski's.
just go through. We have the KO event in its own separate playlist. Just go there. Okay.
Yes.
But that's an amazing issue just because Mantis may have spoiled a little bit of it for you. But that's an amazing issue. And then also Aquaman's getting ready to release that fight has been badass. The fights have been pretty damn good, right? It was a little slow
Mhm.
build up, but the fights have been pretty good. So go check that out. And while you're doing that, you might as well like this video, subscribe to the channel, having the bell notifications clicked, because it lets you know when we release all the new stuff going on with the KO event and everything else like that. And you can tell them at this point right now, man, I don't even want them to comment, because I'm at that point again. You know, you reach that every so often where you're just done with it because people just don't want to actually pay attention to what's being said in the videos. So fuck it, I don't even worry about commenting. I don't care at this point.
Make sure you do click that bell though, because like Cal said, like the whole point of that, like I'm really bad about it when I like visit other people's pages and YouTube channels, but only because they're not doing a series of things. Like on our channel, we do series of comic books. So like if you're wanting to know when the next issue of the video of the issue that we're gonna do comes out, you need to have that bell notified so that when you log on to YouTube, you're like, oh, the next issue in the KO event came out. Oh, I'm gonna click in and watch it. Otherwise, you're not gonna know when it's released unless you're you're buying them at the store, like like we are, and sometimes they don't get delivered.
Like Aquaman might be a week late.
Like Aquaman,
we don't know.
Yeah. Stupid comic book stores, man.
And that's what you can't trust even your comic book store sometimes. What you can trust is we will have the videos out here on the channel for you within at least the week, which I still don't think is too bad, right? I mean, it released a week ago. We already have the video up, right? We were when we first started, it was like, oh, if we got up within like a couple of weeks, we were doing good, right? Now it's like we have got them up in a couple of days. So have the notifications clicked so you get alerted for that. And to keep this under your average Netflix TV show episode, that is going to do it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Later.
Oh, man.